Nigeria's 10th National Assembly will be inaugurated on Tuesday, June 13th, 2 days after the lifespan of the current 9th National Assembly would have expired. And the makeup of this 10th Assembly will be the most diverse since Nigeria returned to democracy in 1999. Now, in the weeks since the elections, we've seen jostling and lobbying, for the leadership post of the National Assembly. With regional and religious factors coming to the fore, there are questions that need to be asked. So we're asking them to one of the senators who is, I guess, lucky enough to return for the 10th National Assembly. My next guest is Elisha Abbo. He's the senator representing Adamawa North Senatorial District in the National Assembly. Mr. Abbo, welcome to Politics HQ.
Thank you.
So let's start with this look at the race for the leadership positions. It's nothing new in particular, but many people feel that the dimensions that this race has been taking on have been quite different. You're one of the members that will be returning to the 10th National Assembly. Is there anything about the jostling, the lobbying, the statements, and sort of the conversations around this leadership race that's different from what you've seen in the past?
Yeah, it is not actually different. It is a normal politicking. If you look at it from 1999, when Nigeria returned to democracy, from the struggle of people like late Senator Evans Enwerem, Chief Okadibo, coming to all of them, Wabaras, coming to the struggle between David Mark and George Akume, coming to Sarakis and Ahmed Lawan. It has always been the same. It has always been the same. There's nothing different. To me, it is just the same. There's nothing different about this one.
Now, a few weeks ago, the conversation centered around whether or not the APC should zone the leadership positions of the National Assembly. But now the APC's National Working Committee has nominated Godswill Akpabio for Akwa Ibom from the South as Senate President and Abbas Tajudeen from Kaduna Northwest Region as the next House of Representatives Speaker. So there's a group called the Citizens Advocacy Group. It described this as an autocratic imposition, while aspirants from the North Central have asked that the party review the formula. These positions are meant to be elective positions. So do you support your party's decision to zone the leadership positions rather than leave them open?
Well, let me start by being very sincere and honest. There is no president that may not have a preference of who should lead the legislative arm of government when he or she is the president of that country. And there is no governor that will not have a choice, a preference of who he or she, as the governor of that state, will love to be the speaker of that state house of assembly. And so also at the national level, the president have the right to actually choose who he or she should work with as the leader and the chairman of the National Assembly. In this case, then, as the president of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, it is nothing new. It is not actually something that will bring so much controversy. However, basically, as a person and as a sitting senator and also as a returning senator, as a ranking senator in Nigeria today, I feel that the choice, more especially of the president of the Senate, which was zoned to the southern part of Nigeria, doesn't sit well with me. And the reason why I feel it is unfair for the entire 19 northern states plus FCT, 20 states in the north, to actually feel aggrieved is because the president of Nigeria, who is president-elect, Aswaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu, senator, is from the southwest, from Lagos State, from southern part of Nigeria. And the Chief Justice of Nigeria is from Ibadan, who is also from the southern part of Nigeria. Basically, we have three arms of government. That is the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. Now, the two arms of government is already in the southern part of Nigeria. And the only remaining arm of government, which is the legislative arm of government, now say it should go to the south. Now, this runs foul. This is against the constitutional provision as enshrined in Section 14, subsection 3, and Section 4 of 1999 Constitution as amended, which gave room for federal character. And I feel honestly that the Senate presidency should come to the north and not to the south. Now, if you take the president of the country, the chief justice of the country, the chairman of the National Assembly, who is the head of the legislature, all to the south, what do we have in the north? That is the question. And that is why we feel strongly that we should have the Senate presidency.
So, Mr. Abbo, have you made...
of federal character, in the spirit of national unity, and to command loyalty to the nation.
All right. So on that point, I know that North Central aspirants have also asked the party to review this formula. We also know that governors from the North have said it's not that they're against zoning, but they also want the APC's National Working Committee to take this into consideration. Is this a point that you brought up with the party? Is this a point that is of contention right now within the APC?
Yes, it is. And I want to tell you that it is very strong. And I have to tell you that as the interim secretary of the Northeast Senate Caucus of the 10th Senate, I am the secretary of the Northeast Caucus. And also during the select meeting of senior and select senators from the 19 northern states of Nigeria, which today I am also the secretary of that committee, it came up strongly. And we agreed in no clear terms that Senate presidency must come to northern part of the country. If you look at APC as a political party, today we produce the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that is the president-elect. And look at the vote. The northern part of Nigeria produced 63.5% of vote for the APC, and the southern part of Nigeria produced 36.5%. And now you want to say that the people who actually produce about 64% of the vote will go empty-handed, and I feel that is unfair. And at the end of it, it will kill the APC in this country.
So let me ask you, because this has come up with the fears that the zoning arrangement or whoever has been nominated, it's more about compensation and reward rather than integrity, ethics, ensuring that merit becomes the order of the day. So when you talk about the zones that produce 60-something% of the votes and then another zone that produced just around 30-something, it sounds like compensation, that you're asking for compensation for helping the president-elect get elected. What do you think about that in terms of, is this a compensation conversation, or should it not be about having a National Assembly that delivers on the needs of the people and also acts as checks and balances to the executive?
Well, first of all, if there's nothing wrong in rewarding a diligent and a good person.
Cost of leadership positions in the National Assembly?
Of course, this is politics. We will come to the issue of merit. I am dealing with it point by point as you raised. You asked of whether it is compensation. There's nothing wrong in compensating a region that produces more votes, because you cannot kill the bird that lays the golden egg. And apart from that, when you talk about competency, is there nobody competent in the North? There are also competent people in the North. And also, when you talk about actually the independence of the legislature, that is what every senator, every member of the House of Reps want to guard against. And we feel that, yes, the president-elect have his own right of choice of who he thinks we should vote for, And at the end of the day, it end up on the table of every single senator across party lines. You rightly put it earlier, that this is the most colorful National Assembly since our 20 democracy in 1999, where you have the APC, the PDP, the Labour Party, the NNPP, the SDP, the ADC, and other political parties who are now members of the 10th National Assembly.
All right, so I want to ask you about that. Unfortunately, time is not with me because, as you said, this is the most diverse National Assembly since 1999. APC has the majority in both the Senate and the House of Representatives, followed by the PDP. Then there's Labour, NNPP, SDP, Abbo, and YPP, as well as ADC in the House of Representatives. How well do you think that your party, the APC, will be able to work across the aisle, across party lines? There are things that you can push through as the majority party, but when it comes to constitutional amendments, 2/3 majority, quorum, and those conversations, APC is going to have to extend its hand across lines to work with parties that are challenging its victory right now in court. So how do you think the APC will do that?
First of all, time of politicking has finished. It is now time to look at national interests. When you are out there for your campaigns, you are PDP or you are APC or you are Abbo or YPP or Labour Party. After winning the election, when you are in the red chamber or in the green chamber, you are a Nigerian legislator. You are a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and not just a senator of your own political party. And I want to assure you that the 10th Senate, as it is today, will be cohesive. We will work together in the interest of national unity, in the interest of Nigerian state, in the interest of Nigerian people. But I want to assure you that the APC will produce the next president of the Senate and the next speaker of the House of Representatives. And even the opposition political parties have also agreed that the APC should produce the top leadership of the National Assembly.
All right.
And we are working with them.
So you talk about the National Assembly working for the interests of Nigerians, for national unity. You're a member of the 9th National Assembly. You will make it also to the 10th. But the assembly that is finishing now has often been accused of mainly rubber stamping things from the executive, from the Buhari administration, particularly around conversations around the country's debt profile. It's also said that it wasn't living up to its check and balances role when it comes to the three arms of government. So heading into a new assembly, let me quote someone for you. A former Canadian prime minister said that Parliament is more than procedure. It is the custodian of the nation's freedom. So how do you respond to this criticism coming out of the 9th National Assembly, heading into the 10th National Assembly, because Nigerians obviously do not want more of the same?
You see, I am a very honest person. I don't like lies. And I feel we have worked tirelessly. We have tried to work with the executive arm of government as a 9th Senate, but I feel there are so many things we could have rejected. I feel there are so many things we could have done better, like the debt profile, like the ways and means, where the Buhari administration borrowed, spent money to the tune of 22.7 trillion naira without recourse to the laws establishing the Central Bank of Nigeria, without actually any approval from the National Assembly. After they finished spending the whole money, 22.7 trillion, they say we should come and help them to legalize it. The National Assembly don't legalize. The National Assembly approves. We don't have the power to legalize things. We only have the power to approve. In this case, money was spent and we were asked to come and legalize it. So we were legalizing an illegality. And that is a fact, and that remains the truth. But we had to do that because if it was not approved, that means Nigeria will reach a debt ceiling where it can no longer borrow. And we have found ourselves today where we appropriate we budget without commensurate financial inflow into the country that will finance the budget. So we have to borrow this money. So if the National Assembly refuses to actually approve or legalize the 22.7 trillion, it means government will actually get hooked up. You can no longer run the government. That is why we had to bend backward and just say, let us approve this. But
bend
I feel it
backwards
is
in this
not
next
right.
assembly.
And I am not happy that the executive arm of government had to spend 22.7 trillion without approval from the National Assembly.
So, Senator Abbo, I'll put it to you one more time before we wrap up now. Do you expect that this 10th National Assembly will once again possibly bend over backwards for the Tinubu administration?
Well, I want to tell you that this National Assembly will be a different National Assembly. The mistakes of 9th Assembly will not repeat itself. The president-elect is a former senator. The vice president-elect is a former senator. For the first time in the history of Nigeria, we have both the president and the vice president who are actually our colleagues, who have walked through the aisle, the red chamber before they became president and vice president. We will work with them closely, but we will do everything possible to ensure separation of power is adhered to and the independence of legislature is maintained and the institution of the National Assembly is strengthened.
All right, Senator Elisha Abbo, the senator representing Adamawa North Senatorial District, will leave the conversation at that, but I do expect you'll be back on Politics HQ. Thank you so much for being my guest this evening.
Thank you so much, and good evening all.
All right.